Hello, friends. Sorry it's been a little while since we last released a podcast here, but for the past couple of weeks, I have been working on our launch. So, the beginning of August, we had the challenge that led into the reopening of the membership site. So, we had the first offer fast track challenge at the beginning of August, and then we moved into opening the doors to the Optimize online community. And today I'm going to talk about some of the insights that I've learned from this last launch. You're listening to the Optimize Online Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Stacey Barnes. I'm a customer journey marketing strategist, and I help you maximize sales by optimizing the customer experience. First off, I want to say a special thank you to every one of you who participated in the First Offer Fast Track Challenge. This is the first time that I've done this challenge, and there were so many of you that showed up throughout this challenge. And I'm just excited that you guys were able to show up. Whether you watch the replays or join me live, I'm just so happy that you were there participating. And I was most excited to see so many of your wins from this challenge. I'm really excited that many of you were able to get the beginnings of your outline offer together and really see what was possible when it comes to creating a business online. Now, if you're interested in joining us for the First Offer Fast Track Challenge, we will be redoing the challenge again at the end of September. If you want, you can join the waitlist at firstofferfasttrackchallenge.com. Again, you can sign up at firstofferfasttrackchallenge.com to join the waitlist when we open the doors again on September 29th. So let's go ahead and dive into a little bit of behind the scenes during this last challenge as well as the launch. So right off the bat, going into the launch, I already knew that it was going to be a bit of a challenge because I had to come back from Korea and there was a bit of a lull in the business, and it was taking me a while to kind of get back into the groove of doing things. And so I knew I really needed to get this launch out there because it was on the books for some time. And so my mindset really around this launch was more around getting it done than it was about getting a bunch of leads and bringing in a ton of money. I did a challenge back, I think it was March, the sales page optimization challenge. I don't even remember what the name of it was, but that one was around developing your sales page. And this one was a completely different direction. This was about building out your first online offer. And I truly think that this was definitely the right direction to go. However, it was the first time that I was running this particular challenge. And so again, it was less about bringing in a ton of people and more about just validating the concept and the idea for doing this as a challenge. In terms of hitting that goal, I think we knocked that one out of the park. I was so excited about all of the wins that the students had. I say students, all of the participants had during this challenge. They actually showed up, they did the work, and the feedback that I got from this particular challenge was just so heartwarming, and it really gave me a lot of confidence in doing this launch again. So in that respect, I totally hit it out of the park with this particular challenge. Now, typically we tend to see 5-day challenges in the online space, and someone recommended doing a 3-day challenge instead. By someone, I do mean Lydia Martin of Banish Business Clutter. I think she's doing a rebrand, so she's probably not going by that name anymore, but shout out to Lydia if you're listening to this. She recommended doing a 3-day challenge because people are getting burnt out on 5-day challenges. And this worked out really well. The challenge portion or the educational part of this challenge was actually 3 days, but the challenge in total was actually 5 days, because what we did was we did a welcome party on Monday, and then we had 3 days of content, and then we did a recap party on that Friday. So technically we were live for 5 days, but the educational content was only 3 days. I'm not sure if it was because this format was a novelty to them or if they really truly enjoyed this format, but I really do think that they enjoyed this particular format because it allowed them kind of breathing room to not only absorb what they were learning, but also it gave them the room to take action. And even within the challenge days itself, particularly on day 2, it wasn't just information. It was, here's a bit of information. Let's pause. Let's work on this together. If you have questions, they could pop it in the chat. And then once I felt that they had gotten a fair amount of work done, then we continued moving on to the educational portion. So it was a very very much like a workshop style challenge. The goal of the challenge was to have an outline of your first online offer and giving them space to actually create that online offer, to think about ideas for it, to come up with the actual outline and give them some tools to help create that outline. I think it allowed them the space and time to create it. Whereas normally if you give somebody an assignment and have them do it as quote homework without that accountability of being live, then they're less likely to complete it. So having that live element and giving them that space to work on it while we were live, I think that was one of the most beneficial things of the challenge. So like I said, it was a welcome party, 3 days of content, and then a final wrap party, which was a little bit different. And I wasn't exactly sure how this was going to go. I called the last day a binge party, similarly to the same way that you would binge watch episodes on Netflix. And there was people who did the challenge who showed up for that last day for the binge party. And I thought this was a great idea personally, because even though they were with me for those 3 days, there were things that we could have gone over, that they could have missed, or that they could have done better, and giving them the second chance to complete this, especially if they missed any days of the challenge, was a great opportunity to kind of have that second chance for people who've missed out. So I liked having that element of a wrap party or binge party at the end of the challenge. When it came time to announce that the doors to the Optimize online community were open, the challenge was a great way to lead into that. Unfortunately, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready to sell. More specifically, I wasn't in the headspace to be selling. I was in Korea for some time. I recently came back and I kind of had to rush the launch just to get it onto the books. So the plan was to create the sales page and the sales assets during the week of the actual challenge. So I would do the challenge and then in the afternoon work on the sales page and the assets when it came time to sell, including any of the emails, any of the graphics that were supposed to go inside of the Facebook group. All of that I would plan to do during the week of that launch. Unfortunately, on that Tuesday of the challenge week, I got a phone call letting me know that a mutual friend of ours has passed away the day before. And so it was really strange. I'm not good with expressing emotions or how I felt. Obviously, I was sad, but mostly I was kind of confused. So I was like, okay, let me process this. I have this launch to get through. I'll process this when I can fit that in. That was not the best thing to do, but I already had people in the challenge. We were basically halfway through the launch, or halfway through the challenge. So I didn't want to stop the challenge. It definitely threw a wrench in things. If you're familiar with how launches go, life happens when you're launching. It doesn't seem to happen when you're in pre-launch or post-launch mode. It happens during a launch. So yeah, let me figure out how I can edit this. I might not. Sorry if that last part was a little bit choppy. I don't plan on rehashing all of that. So it is what it is. But yeah, I got the news, and thankfully on Wednesday, which was the day after, I got through that day really easily, like no issues whatsoever. So I'm like, okay, I'm good. I totally got this. And then on Thursday, as I'm getting ready to do the pitch, as I'm getting ready to open the doors to the Optimize Online community, I don't remember at what point exactly this happened, but I started crying on the live, just like out of nowhere. Like I'm getting ready to introduce this community. And I didn't even do the pitch. I just said, because my plan was actually to just not really offer it until maybe Friday. But on Thursday, that's when kind of everything broke down, I want to say. Sorry, pardon my thoughts. It is what it is. If you want to hear this, just keep listening because I don't feel like editing this. But yeah, Thursday it was time for me to present the Optimize Online community. And so what I ended up doing was rushing through the pitch, as in, I'm not in a place to be selling right now. I really don't care. And so I kind of quickly introduced the fact that the doors were open, but I didn't sell it. I was just like, here's the optimized online community. If you want to know more, click the link to join. And then I started tearing up during the live, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening like right now. Like, you know how grief comes in waves? It decided to come during one of the challenge days while I was live, and I was like, I was almost done. I was almost done. And I was just like, oh, why did it have to happen during the live? But thankfully, everyone who was on the live was very, 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 very kind, very, very sweet, and very patient and understanding. And so I was able to just finish getting through Thursday. And then I realized at that point, my goal is not to sell anymore. My goal is just to get through this challenge. I had the wrap party on Friday, and that's all I wanted to get through. I just wanted to complete the challenge. I no longer wanted to sell. I wasn't interested in selling. I wasn't interested in doing the follow-up emails. I wasn't interested in going on Instagram and talking about the community. As much as I believe in the community, I was just, the way that the week has gone, like I was not interested in selling whatsoever. I was completely checked out. I even got messages asking more about the community. There were people interested, and I did answer those questions to the best of my ability. But for the most part, like I was not interested in selling. Yeah, I made the pitch and I put the offer out there. But in terms of like my energy when it came time to sell, it wasn't there. So as much as I would love to share some insights and lessons with you about how the selling portion of this launch was, there was no selling portion. There was, here it is if you want it. I don't really care if you buy or not. Have a nice day. Like that's kind of the energy and the vibe that I gave off, because I wasn't interested and I completely checked out. So again, my goal was to get through the challenge, and what I did do though was capitalize on the energy of the challenge, because a lot of people were really excited about it. So on Monday, or I think it was on the weekend, I decided that I wanted to get testimonials and feedback from the challenge because a lot of people were really excited about it. So I did a little giveaway for anyone who completed the challenge, as long as they filled out a little form for feedback. It didn't matter if the feedback was good or bad. I wanted all of the feedback. They were rewarded with a $10 Starbucks gift card just for filling out that form. And this was fantastic, because sometimes you get those surveys and you're like, here is a survey and maybe you might win a $100 Amazon gift card. And I was like, no, what if I just let everybody who filled it out get a $10 Starbucks gift card? And that worked out brilliantly. And I actually love that Starbucks allows you to gift up to 10 people at a time. So I just did the one amount, $10. I had one message that was the same to everybody. And then I had, who it was from. And then all I had to do was put their name and email for everyone that participated in the survey. So in that respect, that went really well. So again, my focus was the challenge. My focus was not selling for this particular launch. And I think the challenge went well. The pace of the challenge went well. The content went well. And getting that feedback from people was amazing. So I'm really, really excited about that. And there weren't even my email list is not that big. I forgot to mention, this portion is about talking about ads, and I've re-recorded this about 5 times already. So I apologize if any information is missing, but basically we ran ads for this challenge and I kind of rushed the ads. The problem was not the ads. I worked with an ads manager and they were fantastic. And they helped me find really great targets and optimize the targets, and the click-through rate was fantastic. The problem was the landing page. In my head, I was like, okay, I'm going to run these ads to a lead form. A lead form on Facebook is basically a form where they just fill out their name and email natively inside of Facebook or Instagram. I was not planning on having them go to a landing page to sign up, but my ads manager recommended to do a landing page for a challenge as opposed to a lead magnet like a PDF or a workbook or something. This was an actual live event. And so he said, you're going to want to do a landing page. So we did the landing page, and at first the landing page was not converting, partly because I thought of the landing page more like a lead form than I thought of it as an actual informational page. Once I got the feedback that the landing page should include more information about the challenge, that's when conversions finally started to ramp up, and finally the ads were converting the way that they were supposed to. Still not quite 100% of what it should have been, but it was definitely a lot better than when we were from the beginning. I didn't even get through we spent about 25% of our budgeted ad spend. I had a number in mind, amount of money that I wanted to spend. We didn't even spend 25% of that, maybe not even 20% of that, because the cost per lead was astronomically high in the beginning, that we weren't ramping up the budget. We were turning things off. We're like, turn off, 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 off. This is not working. And and then we stopped the ads when we realized that the landing page wasn't converting. So we lost a few days of momentum. And then by the time I had turned ads back on, the challenge was ready to go in about 5 days. And there was in Facebook, you can only increase your ad spend by so much. Otherwise, like it ends up just like kind of blowing your budget just anywhere. Like you're really just like burning cash at that point. And so you can only increase the budget incrementally. And there was only a certain amount that I could go. And I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I rushed this to begin with. I'm glad I have some leads for the challenge, but I know better next time that when I do a challenge, that technically you actually want to start with a lead form or a lead magnet and then lead them into a challenge, because a challenge is a bigger ask than a PDF. So people will sign up for PDFs all day long, or worksheet, checklists, what have you. But a challenge is a bigger ask because it's a commitment of your time. And so knowing that now, I should have started out with a simple lead magnet and then used email to get them to opt into the challenge, rather than running straight ads just to the challenge. But it's a lesson learned, and I appreciate the lesson, but I'm glad that people still wanted to sign up for the challenge anyway. So in that respect, that was a win. One of the things that I always tell people is that people need time to make a decision. People need time before you make the pitch. People need time before you make the sale. And the days of here's the webinar and then buy my thing, like that's not how things work anymore. If you're not familiar with how things used to work, it used to be that you would run ads to a webinar and then you would do your webinar, your little workshop. And then at the end of it, you're like, wow, this was such great information. Now, if you want to learn more, go buy my thing. That's not how it works anymore. It still works, but not nearly as well. People need more time to process information. People need more time to get to know, like, and trust somebody. And then assuming that they're going to buy right out of the gate is not how things work anymore. And so if you've learned anything from this, it's that people need time to come to a decision, and rushing them through that decision is not only not beneficial for you, it's not beneficial for them, and it's also not a great look. So even though there were a few people that were interested that had sent me messages about the membership, I answered them in a way where it was honest, where it was like, here's what we do. If you want to join, great. If not, I'm not going to rush you. I'm not going to guilt trip you. I'm not going to make you feel bad. If you really want to get an offer out, then you really should join the membership, because this is what's going to take for you to get it out there. Like, that's not how it is. This is the information. If you want to join, great. If not, I actually honestly told people, like, it's totally fine if you don't want to join today. I knew that I was in a place to be selling. So I said those same discounts that we had during this promotional challenge, during this challenge, I'm going to run them again. For the first couple of days, for a couple of days in September, if you decide you want to join later. The membership is still going to be open later in September. Yes, I'm going to close the doors, but hey, if you're like, let me sit on this, I was like, you do you. You want to sit on it? Go for it, because that's probably how I am too. And so understanding that about your audience, understanding that they do need that time, it's going to go a long way, because instead of getting this giant influx of people right away, right off the bat, instead you're nurturing that relationship and getting them to know, like, and trust you. That trust is more valuable than people realize. I see marketers do this big push for close the doors, because then if you don't close the doors, then nobody's going to buy. Well, no, you won't get a giant rush of people coming in, but the people who do buy genuinely like you. They genuinely want to hear what you have to say. And that's the type of people I want in my community. I don't want people in my community who were rushed to a decision. I don't want them in my community because they felt bad because of something I said in an email. I don't want to guilt trip people into joining the community. I want them to actually want to be in there, to be excited, to join the calls because they're like, oh, I really, really want to learn from this person. So that's kind of the energy and the vibe that I expect from people who come in. all of that to say that even though the ads didn't go as planned, it went about the way that I expected. Because again, I was running ads to a challenge instead of a lead magnet. I didn't have time to nurture them on my email list. There wasn't enough time for them to get to know, like, and trust me. They had enough time during the challenge itself to get to know me, and I thought that was great. But just because somebody doesn't buy from the first webinar or somebody doesn't buy from the first challenge doesn't mean that they will never buy. Those people that are who have joined the challenge are now on my email list. I can continue to nurture them, and then hopefully eventually they will buy, but there's no expectation that you run a bunch of ads and then those people are automatically going to convert into buyers right off the bat. What the people who are going to win in this economy are the people with patience. The people who understand that this is a long game, that this is not a quick, let me get a bunch of people on my email list, send them a bunch of emails, and then boom, make the sale. This is a relationship economy now, where you show up authentically, you show up and give actual value, and then eventually those people that know, like, and trust you, they eventually will buy. And I think that is the biggest lesson here, is that you can't rush things. People get hung up on the fact that people didn't buy, or even the fact that somebody didn't sign up for their freebie or their lead magnet. It's okay to be frustrated. There's a reason we get frustrated, because it's a sign that something's not working and we need to fix it. But staying there and wallowing in that is not productive. So feel the feelings, feel frustrated, feel upset. Once you've been able to process that, then think, okay, why is this happening? Why is this not converting? For example, with the challenge ads that I ran, the challenge ads didn't go exactly the way that I had planned. But once I took a moment to really take a step back and really understand what was happening and why those conversions weren't happening, then it was easier for me to find a solution and create the solution, which was to create a better landing page. But we can't come to those conclusions until we've taken a step back and really assessed and looked at the situation. Now, this has been a long podcast, or at least for me, in terms of recording, and there was a lot of stuff in here that kind of went a bit of a tangent, but that's okay. Hopefully you still found some valuable lessons in this. The main takeaways from this launch are that life happens when you're launching. So make sure to give yourself the space that you need in order to be present for life in however way that shows up. And also, this is one launch of many. A lot of people put a lot of stake into their launches. People set their launch up on a pedestal as if it's the thing that is going to save them, that is the thing that's going to make everything better. That's not always how it works. Launches are stepping stones, really. And you don't want to go into launch thinking that it's going to be the be all end all of everything and then this is going to skyrocket your business. It can, it very much can. But when you look at it more from the perspective of stepping stones, as in you launch and then this is a series of lessons to help you do the next launch, and then another series of lessons to help you do the next one and the next one. It's a lot healthier way to look at launching. Doing launch in bite-sized pieces is what I recommend for most of my students. In fact, that's what I'm going to be teaching inside of the Optimized Offer Oasis, which is inside of the community. And we're going through this 90-day incubator. So I'm really excited to share these lessons with my students. I just know that if you are meant to put something out there, that if people really need what it is that you have, and you put it out there and people are looking for it, people will find it, and they'll find it at the time when they need it. As long as you keep perspective that you are here to serve, you're here to help others, then it's going to make it so much easier for you when you're going through business launches, when you're promoting and things like that. If you come from a place of like, how many people did I help today, as opposed to how many sales did I make? If you understand that you're here to help people and that's your mission, if you make helping people your mission, then launching is just a tool. Launching is just something that you do to help those people. My goal was to complete the challenge. My goal was to get through the challenge and help people create their online offers. And to me, that was the biggest win out of all of this. It didn't matter if there were sales or not. It didn't matter if people joined or not, because that was not my goal. My goal was just to help people. Now, next time, yes, I would like to actually sell and actually invite people into the community. But again, in the bigger scheme of things, my goal is always to help people. And if I can do that, then that's the win. If I make money while doing it, fantastic. But somebody said somewhere that money is a byproduct of helping other people. And that's how I really think we should look at online business in general. And those that have that mindset, those that are genuinely here to serve first, and see money as a byproduct, those are the people that I follow. Those are the people that I listen to. And frankly, those are the people that you should be listening to. Yes, we're all here. We all need to make money. We all need to pay rent and all of the things. But at the end of the day, if your purpose in life is to help people, is to genuinely show up and serve, then that's what you should be doing. So yeah, that's it for me today. I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you all on the next one. Take care.